Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. So it's been 9 months since Cyberpunk came out. In 2 days it's going to be 10 months since Cyberpunk was released. And to say it was a rocky launch would be an understatement. It was hell on earth, Armageddon, when Cyberpunk came out, and it came out with all of the issues that it had. Now, initially I reviewed Cyberpunk 2077 on PC, where obviously I had issues, but oh boy, when the game came out for last gen, for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it wasn't playable. Like, the things people were reporting and then the gameplay people were showing was absolutely awful. It was atrocious to see, like, what kind of gameplay people were getting, like objects not loading in, game falling apart, game crashing, and all of those issues. Now, the problem is, like 8-9 months later, I've looked at the gameplay from PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it's a bit better. Now, obviously, it's still stuttering in some cases. When it comes to vehicles, they're still trying to load in front of you, which is that memory management issue that generally Cyberpunk 2077 has. But that's not only a problem with consoles. You see, I went back to Night City with patch 1.3 on my PC with a 3070 Ti. Now, actually Muta made a very nice video, the downgrading of Cyberpunk 2077, where he talks about how CDPR had to lower the amount of NPCs and vehicles that load in front of the player so they can maintain the FPS. And that's true, because every single time you load something in front of a player, any object whatsoever, especially if that loading management is not well done, or it's too aggressive, or it's just not working well, you're gonna be seeing those issues. And in some cases, you're not gonna have any vehicles whatsoever around you, which doesn't paint a nice picture of a bustling, immersive city. And on the other side, like, for example, when you try to look around you, you're gonna have different cars spawning every time you look around, or things are just gonna disappear, or you're gonna have cars spawning right in front of you. And that's basically the problem across the entire Night City. I've been driving around, and oh boy, during the day, you don't really have a lot of vehicles out on the street. And the problem is, like, so all of those issues now from consoles and the updates on that kinda went to PC version as well. You know, that's not good. Now, I don't hate this game. I really don't. Like, when it comes to the quests and story and characters and all of that, like, CDPR nailed that. They know how to make characters, they know how to make good stories, they know how to make, you know, rich stories. Now, obviously, when it comes to RPG and your life path, we're gonna talk about that in a second, but at least when it comes to the story, they presented, like, it was nice. It was nice, but the problem is, whenever you're trying to immerse yourself in a story or a quest or whatever, you're gonna have a bug or a glitch which is gonna stop that immersion. Ultimately, it's going to ruin that experience. Same thing with driving, like, same thing with racing. You know how bad racing is in Cyberpunk? Like, if you look at the vehicles behind me when I'm driving, especially when I'm racing, those vehicles are basically spawning behind you. They crash and they respawn, and they crash and they respawn, because NPCs cannot maintain the speed with your vehicle. They don't know how to avoid obstacles. That AI doesn't know how to successfully drive out the race. So how they handle that is basically they disappear, like the cars behind you, they crash, they disappear completely, and then they respawn right behind you. So if you make a mistake in a racing in Cyberpunk 2077, you're going to pay for it, because those vehicles are going to be spawning right behind you all the time, and you always have to drive impeccably, because if you don't drive impeccably, those guys are just gonna respawn and they will zoom into you, not next to you. Like, I've had instances where actually the NPC driver just zoomed into me. So the racing experience was absolutely awful when it comes to this game. Now, as I was saying, now, going back to the memory management and memory issues, as I said, go watch a video made by Muta, the downgrading of Cyberpunk 2077, amazing video, where he goes to the city center, where he shows all of those issues, and I went myself, and it's like, yeah, like, the city is empty. the way they handle frame rate and the way they handle the stability of this game means just not spawn anything. Just don't spawn it, because as soon as you spawn something, you know what's gonna happen. The game is gonna start stuttering because too many objects are trying to load around you. So that wasn't an enjoyable experience. And again, if you go outside of Night City, if you look at the road, like, they still have that placeholder where vehicles just, you can see a bunch of vehicles come in front of you, but they just disappear because those are placeholders. That's something that also Muta talked about. That's also something I talked about before as well, when it comes to just spawning things around you. And when it comes to looking at Night City from like far away, you're gonna see vehicles, and those are just placeholders. Games use that, like GTA uses that, but you know, when it comes to respawn management, it's just so bad. Now, when it comes to other things in this game, like life paths, oh boy, let's talk about them. So, obviously quests, bugs and glitches and, you know, memory management, that can be fixed. AI can be fixed, and we're gonna talk about AI as well. But when it comes to the design of this game, when it comes to life paths, when it comes to your character in this universe, listen, I went through a lot of source material. I've been doing lore videos before Cyberpunk came out. And when I tell you that corpos and nomads are role-playing a street kid, ultimately, it is true. Because I didn't actually get a feeling in this game, if I select a corpo, that I was playing actually a corpo. I didn't feel like it was diverse enough when it comes to just RPG segments, that I always felt like, well, I'm not a corpo, I'm a street kid, I'm making decisions as a street kid. And it could have been such a nice thing, especially because the arc of the story is at the beginning of the game. If you're a corpo, you get fired. It would be such a nice thing to just go back and climb the ranks again. But the problem is, this game is aiming to you to have a somewhat linear adventure with Johnny Silverhand. Now, obviously, there are different endings to this game. There are different ways you can finish this game. There are many different little details that you can participate in if you're a certain life path, etc, etc. But ultimately, like on a grand scale, it doesn't change much. It still feels like not really role-playing a corpo character or a nomad character. Every time I actually felt like I was role-playing a street kid in most of those cases, and that was kind of the problem with that. And obviously that cannot be fixed in this. That the way it is, it's the way it's going to stay. Now, hopefully in the future, when it comes to expansions, CDPR does a bit better to expand on like different roles. And if you're a corpo, I really want something that I cannot get as a street kid or I cannot get as a nomad. You know, Cyberpunk gives you those options from time to time, but not too much to my liking, or not too much to satisfy that RPG tabletop feeling of Cyberpunk 2020, and how important different roles actually are, and how you know, different stuff can be done. Now, of course, if you're gonna be talking about the ways of approach, like weapons, if you're gonna be talking about hacking and all of that, obviously yes, you can do a lot of stuff in this game through hacking, through all of that. Now, stealth is, you know, it can be questionable because enemies can see you from time to time. Like, the AI, as I said, is not the best, so sometimes like you're gonna be going in stealth and, you know, things are not gonna end up nicely. So even that, you know, can be questionable. But at least when it comes to approaches on a certain thing, like at least when it comes to hacking, like you can do some really cool stuff with it. Like if you just increase your net running skills, you can do some amazing quick hacks and just go through the level that way. So from that, at least that RPG standpoint, like it's cool. It's definitely cool. Same when it comes to melee weapons, same when it comes to ranged weapons, etc, etc. There is diversity there, but again, when it comes to the characters, I believe that CDPR couldn't escape too much of that predefined character. Like they tried so hard to make V not predefined character, but V kinda became a predefined character in my opinion. I don't know, I just felt like it. I didn't feel like V was fully my V. Like decisions I made were actually that different. They were kind of still, ah man, it's not what I would pick, but hey, it is what it is. Now, oh boy, when it comes to AI and driving and all of that, like obviously that hasn't been fixed. The AI in this game is peculiar and strange, because whatever you do in front of them, they will not move. Like they're still not gonna move if there is an object in front of them. They're still not really that smart to do that. So obviously, at least when it comes to the AI perspective, they're kind of, you know, not the best, because it doesn't really give you like it. I don't know, like this AI doesn't give me enough when it comes to immersion, just because you don't really have a discussion with them. You can't really have, you know, that much of a difference when you're interacting with NPCs, because they all act the same. They're all gonna be doing the same animation, and ultimately it doesn't really do much for the game, does it? But yeah, so things that Cyberpunk did that improved in these 9 months, like modders have been saying that CDPR has done a lot to set the foundations when it comes to this game, when it comes to fixing the foundational code of the game and trying to make it functional, to make it stable, etc. And I do believe that's the case, you know. All of these patches, and you cannot have anything like substantial yet, because it's gonna take so much time just to fix the underlying issues before they build anything on top of that. I talked about it multiple times. So ultimately, I don't even think that the next patch for Cyberpunk is gonna bring something huge. Obviously, it's going to work on the stability of the game, it's gonna fix quests and all of that, but you know, what people expect, it's not going to be the case. They're not gonna implement 10 new mechanics in the next update. That's not going to happen. So overall, I mean, it's difficult to love this game. I like the game, but it's difficult to love this game, because whenever you try to immerse yourself, whenever you try to do something, even today, 9 months later, like it's still gonna be an issue. But is it more playable? Absolutely yes. Like it's definitely more playable, but there are still lingering issues in this game. There are still memory issues in this game. And honestly, at least when it comes to NPCs and things spawning around you, it's worse. It's not better, it's worse, because from time to time, like I'll just be in an empty city, and lately that's been happening more and more often. And especially when you just turn around, it's going to change which cars spawn in front of you. Like a car is gonna spawn, you're gonna turn around immediately, there's gonna be a different car which spawned, etc, etc. So oh boy, oh man, like the underlying issues of this game are still lingering, and they're gonna be lingering for a very long time. Now, is CDPR gonna fix the game? I don't know. Like they're working on it, like they're actively working on fixing the game, but you know, that doesn't solve the issue. So I hope for their next game they get their stuff together, because this game is just a product of all of the issues the company has. Like I love when people say like they should just scrap this game and go make The Witcher 4. What does that help you? Because Witcher 4 is not gonna automatically be a great game just because it's Witcher 4. You do realize that people have to make that game first, and if your company has issues, like they obviously have, as you can see for the game and how it came out, and how, you know, the Adam Kaczynski was saying, oh yeah, it runs surprisingly great, we're really happy with it. Problems are not going to disappear. Like let's keep it honest here, let's keep it open. Like first they have to sort out all of the issues in the company, because there are issues. Something is not right, you know, something is not right with CDPR. So sort it out, organization and management wise, and then your games are going to work, because people are not going to be stressed. People are going to have a clear vision on what they want to achieve. And I've looked at the first leak of Cyberpunk 2077, like how was the game initially supposed to look like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I like that version more. You were able to sit and drink, and I believe, like, why did you change it? Like obviously that was the first thing that, you know, Cyberpunk was supposed to look like. They probably took like the formula from The Witcher 3 and they said, alright, this worked for The Witcher 3, what if we just implement it into Cyberpunk? And you know what? I think it would work. I think it would actually work, you know? But yeah, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is now. You cannot change it, but you know, when it comes to future updates, I don't know. Hopefully they work on it more. Hopefully they fix it. I know they're working on it. I know that, you know, developers are trying all their best to cover all of the mistakes that management has made, so they can give you something. But it's tough. It's tough when you have a management like that, which obviously has issues. Like, we can deny it all we want, but that's just the case. So Cyberpunk, 10 months later, it still has issues. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit more enjoyable. At least the game is now back on the PlayStation stores. You can buy it there if you want. There is still a huge caution before you buy the game. It's just sad. But yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna keep reporting when Cyberpunk gets a new update. We'll see how this thing is gonna go. I've been looking at mods as well, so I'm gonna be making a mods video for Cyberpunk. For at least the people on PC, they can install those mods and then fix some of the issues of the game. Thank you modders a lot, and obviously thank you devs who are trying to just get this game together, you know, which is tough when you have problems at the company, because that's the ultimate reason why this game came out the way it is, and people do not understand it. They think next game is gonna fix all of it, but in reality it won't. It won't. It just won't. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is LKM signing out. Cyberpunk 9-10 months after release, and tell me down below, like, what platform are you playing Cyberpunk on, if you're playing Cyberpunk at all? And tell me, how is the game running for you now? Because, you know, people said to me like, it's running a little bit better, you know, you know, it's better, but obviously the sacrifice of that is less vehicles and less pedestrians on the road. So I don't know, to be honest, I doubt that's gonna be fixed ever. But that's what happens when you promise the people, you know, that it's going to release. And the whole argument of, oh yeah, those people have old consoles, no wonder they can't run Cyberpunk. I'm sorry, but CDPR said it's coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's not people's fault that CDPR wanted to release this game for last gen and it didn't work. A promise is a promise. A price for a game is a price for a game. You paid for it, you expect the game to play it. Like, if the hardware doesn't run it, don't release it. It's simple as that. But when you do say that you're going to release a game on a certain platform, well, you gotta follow up, because you can't have these people playing 5 FPS and have these people playing 30 or 60. That doesn't go. So the whole argument, oh, old consoles, oh, why are you running this? Why did CDPR release on those old consoles? Simple as that. So yeah, thank you again for watching. This is LKM signing out. Please click that like and subscribe button. Join us on Twitter and Discord if you want to continue the discussion there. And yeah, stay classy everyone, and be civil in the comments. For the love of God, be civil in the comments. I'm looking at the comments. Be civil. And also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. Love you all. Bye bye.